Hey, what is going on, you guys? It's Epic here and welcome back to a new video. Let's waste no time today. We know what we're going to be covering. It's the new patch and hotfix in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Now, before we go any further, I will say that there's a lot to break down in this one, so I'm not going to have the changes showing up on screen. I'm simply going to go through them and give my opinion on them. So if you do like this no-nonsense roundup, be sure to leave a like on the video and leave a comment letting me know what you think of it. And let's get right into it with the biggest change, because in today's patch, not only is DLC 3 being added to the game, but also the chaos level is going from 35 up to 50. Now, I don't want to spend too much time going over this. I'll probably make a dedicated video for it, but my personal thoughts on this change is that it should not happen. When they updated Chaos 20 to Chaos 35, I already went over how not even 10% of PlayStation players had hit Chaos 20, and I cannot imagine that that value has gone up anymore since that video went up. Now, I will also say another big issue with upping the Chaos level first and foremost is that balance gets a lot more iffy. The higher the enemy health goes up, the more struggle there is to make sure that blues are viable at endgame without having them be broken early game. But we're going too far off into the deep end. That is for another video. Let's continue on with the changes. With the chaos level going up to 50, there is a new tier of gear being ascended, and here's a really good change. In the chaos chamber there is now a new mode, and it is the boss run, where you'll be able to fight a bunch of mini bosses and bosses. This is something people have been asking for a while, and I'm actually really shocked to see it implemented here, so GG to you, Gearbox. Now, this is only a PC change, but it's a pretty huge one for those of you who are on AMD. Fidelity Super Resolution 2.0 is now supported on Wonderlands. This should help a lot for optimization, so good news to all of you on AMD. Next up, there's been a number of changes to the Wheel of Fate in the DLC. First of all, the Wheel of Fate categories now include an improved 1.5 times dedicated drop chance for legendaries from each DLC that the host owns and has the correct progress in. And this is based on the category you land on, or if it has any dedicated DLC legendaries inside of it, and the dedicated chance also scales with your luck. The Wheel of Fate now also spawns 4 guaranteed pieces of gear when you land on a gear category, and the rarity chances of that gear will now scale better with luck, so you should be seeing more legendary gear from that, which I'm absolutely fine with because that currency is pretty rough to farm. And finally, when landing on the customization category, the Wheel of Fate is now going to spawn 2 customizations normally associated with badass enemies from the main game, plus 2 customizations from each DLC that the host owns and has the correct progress in. This is a pretty good change because for those of you that don't already know, there is over 100 cosmetic items in the DLCs. Pretty wild stuff. Now into the bug fixes, and there is quite a lot to break down here, but I know a lot of you aren't going to care too much about these bug fixes here, so I'm just going to go over the most notable one, where Gearbox say that basically in the Chaos Chamber there wasn't as many enemies spawning as they wanted, so they've increased the amount slightly, so this should result in more enemy density in the Chaos Chamber. Also, missing name is now finally fixed in the DLC 1, or at least that's what it says. Also, the Thunder Anima, Donkey, Birthright, Goblin Repellent, and Cow Khan had a bug where they could sometimes not drop as enchanted and could not be enchanted. That has now been seemingly fixed. Now, finally into the rest of the changes here, and let's talk about the live wire, which we knew was going to be changed a while ago when the exploit came out with the chains dealing melee damage. Gearbox said that we would see a change to the live wire in an upcoming patch, and that day has seemingly arrived. But it seems as though they're not doing too much to it as I thought they would, as Gearbox say that the live wire's chain lightning beam would scale its damage based on how low your ammo was, with 0 doing the most damage. But this ability has been removed, and now the beam will do the same amount of damage for what it would have done with no ammo. So this is an overall buff to the live wire. However, because of this, it does make the live wire extremely stupid, so they've reduced the damage it does by 12.5% on that beam. And this is an absolutely wild change, not because they've nerfed the live wire, we all saw that coming, but because they didn't fix the beam dealing melee damage, which was what was making it so broken to begin with, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. Which means now the Spellblade and live wire combo still works and is still absolutely disgusting, or at least that's what it seems to be from this note. Now into the hotfix changes for this week. There's quite a few awesome things to go over here. This is actually a really good hotfix. So first of all, the Dragon Lord's dedicated loot pool has been changed to make it so that it's more fair with its drop chances. Parasite was actually not receiving the proper amount of health scaling when you turned on chaos mode, and that has now been fixed, which means Parasite is now going to be a lot stronger. So boys, we're moving to Ribula. And into the buffs here, there is a ton of spell buffs this week. So here are the following spell buffs. The Barrel Maker's damage and status effect chance has been increased by 100%. The Dazzler's cooldown has been reduced from 18 seconds to 12 seconds. The Dazzler's damage has been increased by a whopping 260%. 68%. The Frozen Orb's damage has been increased by 275%, and they also note that there has been a bug where it fails to collide with some of the enemies in the game, and they say they're going to fix this in a future patch. Moving on, the Gelatinous Cube got a massive buff with 100% increase on its damage. Its status effect damage increased by 20%. The cooldown on it reduced from 24 seconds to a very slim 9 seconds. Now moving on, the Glacial Cascade's damage has been increased by 30%. The Reviver's damage has been increased by 38%. The Reviver's Seeker projectile damage scale has been increased by 100%. And the Reviver's cooldown has been reduced from 36 seconds to 24 seconds. In an absolutely massive buff, the Laser Hand's damage has been increased by 525%. That honestly sounds like it could be an overbuff, but we haven't played with it yet, so I guess we'll just have to see what it looks like in game. The Saw Blade's damage and status effect has been increased by 100% on the damage there. The Time Skip's damage has been increased by 100%, and there is also a note here from Gearbox saying that they are aware of a bug that's causing the Time Skip's damage over time effect to not apply properly, and this is also going to be fixed in an upcoming patch. The Thread of Fate's damage has been increased by 50%. The Inflammation spell charges have been increased by 3, and the Inflammation's damage and status effect damage has been increased by 30%. Now finally, in the spell buffs here, we have the Twister, which has been buffed by 10% on its damage. So some absolutely disgusting changes to these spells there, which have been lacking for the longest time in Wonderlands. Now I gotta be honest, the past few set of hotfixes we've received for Wonderlands, whether it was buffing snipers or SMGs, haven't really done anything for me. They didn't get me excited, but this is something I've been hoping for a long time now. Spells have consistently been boring and unfun to use in Wonderlands, with the Buffmeister dominating the entire class, so I am really intrigued at how the game's going to feel now with these spell buffs. Now getting into the final changes for this week's hotfixes, we have some class adjustments, and oh, this is going to be a spicy one. Gearbox say that while they don't want to make huge adjustments until the new Blightcaller class with DLC 4 comes out, they are seeing that the Spellshot class and Clawbringer class are not matching the balance expectations for the Chaos Chamber. They're finding that Spellshot is overperforming compared to the level they're targeting, while Clawbringer is underperforming. So let's start with my boy, the Clawbringer. Gearbox, I know you've been watching the videos and I know you've been taking it on board. Thank you for actually listening to these suggestions here, because Storm Smite has had its base damage increased by 33%, an actual significant buff to this skill. Next up, Blasphemous Favor, a skill I was very critical of, has had its fire ability damage on gun kill increased by 25%, and lightning ability damage on melee damage kill increased by 33%. Another significant buff here. Well done, Gearbox. And finally here, another skill that I brought up in my Clawbringer video, which has seemingly been addressed here, is Indomitable, having its cooldown decreased from 120 seconds to 100 seconds. Not as significant as I would have liked to see, but it's better than nothing. Gearbox, thank you for these Clawbringer buffs. They are actually pretty damn decent. And now let's discuss Spellshot, a class which for the longest time has been disgusting in Wonderlands, dominating the meta and really annoying a lot of players who felt like it was just way too overpowered, and people actually got turned off of the game simply because of how strong this class was. Spellshot is one of those classes which in terms of power genuinely could rival the likes of Salvador from Borderlands 2, but let's get into what they actually did to Spellshot. So firstly, Magic Bullets has had the amount of spell damage that's applied to the gun damage from 15% taken to 12.5%, which isn't that bad of a nerf. But the big one and the kicker here, and the actual final change for this week, is on Spell Weaving. Everybody knows that Spell Weaving on Spellshot is absolutely bonkers, but Gearbox have finally addressed it. Thank you so much, Gearbox, because they have changed the spell damage per stack from 10% to 8% on the Spellshot, which isn't enough to neuter the class, but it is enough to tone it down to a point where it should be more in line with other classes. So all in all, I gotta be honest, this is a good set of changes. I know I'm gonna have a lot of people in my Twitch streams, EpicNNG by the way, if you want to grow your dick by 6 inches, saying, is this a good set of changes? And the answer is yes. I really do like the changes here. The adjustments to Clawbringer are actually significant, and I do like what they've done. I finally have seen them address the bottom half of the tree, and Spellshot has had enough changes to make a difference to its power, but not neuter it and make the class useless. So all in all, on this hotfix, good job, Gearbox. On the patch, however, I think we're going to have some words, especially because it's rumored and basically confirmed at this point that the Face Puncher has arrived in Wonderlands, but that's another video for later on in the week, so keep your eyes peeled for it. But boys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know what you think of the changes in the comment section down below, and thank you for tuning in to the no nonsense wrap up on all the news. I appreciate the support, boys. Take it easy. I'll see you in the DLC, and have a good day.